Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and the plan today is to build a micro encabulator with Fresnel lenses and a voculating extensor beam, or at least it was the plan. It seems that I don't have any Dolby coils, and I'm completely out of unobtainium for the power supply. So we'll have to do a different thing here, and what that amounts to is I'll show you here. We're going to shorten up the arms on this thing. I figured I could use this by moving the table right or left, and that's inconvenient. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them off shorter and thread them, and I didn't do that before because I could never figure out what the threads were. But today we're going to thread it, whether it's the right thread or the wrong thread. We're going to cut them off, thread the little knobs back on it, and call ourselves in business. So let's just get right on with it. Alright, so the obvious problem here is that when it's right over this handle, that's the kind of a problem we've got. It runs right into these things. So I figure we don't want these little fellows to be any longer than that. That should clear it quite well. Yeah, I guess that's about the right spot. So what I have to do is to figure out how much of this thing to cut off to make it fit into there. This was made for a really big milling machine, and we're going to make it fit on a little one. So all projects start on the bandsaw. This one too. And so it'll be two more times, and then we'll start machining and threading. You can see that the process is already working. When I got started here, I only had 3 pieces, and now I've got 6. So that right there is an increase of 100%. By careful investigation, I've discovered that the thread on this end and the thread on this end here, right here, they're both the same thread. So even though they're an odd size of some sort, I'm going to machine it down to that size and cut pretty close to that many threads per inch. I'll try and match it up with the thread gauge, and so that's where you're going to see it next. Using this optical enhancement device, I've determined that this thing is actually 26 threads per inch. So that's what we're going to cut here. I'll go over and chuck some of this stuff up in the lathe and get it set up for threading that. You guys may notice some of my terminology has improved. That's because I've been taking the AVE technical jargon class. You may want to check in his channel and see if you can get signed up for it. Alright, so I changed over to the QCTP, and with the use of the Wildman tool, I have made sure that I'm on center. And now we'll go ahead and we'll start turning this little booger down to the right dimensions, which I don't know what they are. I didn't measure yet. Just a little slip there. I'll be back with that. Okay, 0.370 looks good. And what we've got here is 0.425. I won't be taking off much. course, this way is not going to take off much. It doesn't do A-bomb size cuts. Now, that was a good deep cut. Skimmed the paint right off of that. I guess any workman worth his salt was face off the end before he did anything. Alright, y'all take a sip of coffee and watch this thing come to size. You're probably not going to believe this, but looky there, 0.370. I don't often get that close. Alright, so I guess I could go ahead and turn them all to the right size and then thread them all. But then I'd have to set them up every time. I'm not using a collet, so really I'll just turn them down, thread them, turn them down, thread them. It'll take longer, but what the heck, I'm not going anywhere. So 26 threads per inch moves pretty slow, but and it wouldn't be any hill at all for a member of the Big Ten machine shop group, but I'm an old geezer with slow reflexes, and on top of that a redneck and slow from that too. So I don't know. We'll see if I have to slow it down some, but we're going to give it a shot. No, we're going to slow that down. My drive pulley is coming loose again, so I'm going to have to tighten it down. Alright, it's tight once again, and here we go, really moving along here. It's on 0 and now I'm not. Right. I'm just going to do a plunge thread on this, no compound breastfeeding or anything. I'm just going to shove it in. I know. Not impressive at all. I could never get a job with Adam Booth. Good thing I'm retired, huh? Okay, let's double check it. That resembles it somewhat. Okay, me a little oil. Hold on with that. I've actually got a whole gallon of stinky, black, sulfur-smelling cutting oil, and I just don't like to use it. The stuff, it's really gross. have to clean off some of the crud, or it's not going to fit. Now let's see what we got. Screws on there almost all the way. So that burned it. Anyway, I'll have to make one more pass, I guess. Spring pass. This time I'll leave the oil off so I make sure I know when I get to the bottom. All I needed was a good spring pass, and I'll probably have to clean up that thread there a little bit up close because it's kind of ragged looking on the outside edges. But you've seen that. I'm going to do this 2 more times and then I'll show you where that worked out. Okay, so we went from being a big boy's middle speed wrench down to miniature speed wrench, and look at that. We miss that thing every time. Let me move this over even. Nice, just move that way to get there. And you can see it misses every time. And not only that, I started out with 3 pieces and now I've got 6. I mean, how can you lose in a situation like that? I don't know what kept me from realizing it was 26 threads wrench when I first got it. Because I measured it and I never could tell. I guess I should have been using the optical enhancement tool and I could have discovered it right off. Well folks, I guess now that we've been actually successful here, the moral of the day is when you buy a speed wrench, make sure it fits what you got before you buy it. And number 2, keep on keeping on. Let's go see if we can find old Bubba. Well, it seems that Bubba and Cooter, was out hunting, and they're walking along and they come on this big old hole in the ground, and they walk up and look inside of it, and they was amazed at the size of that hole, And Cooter says, "Wow, that's some hole. I can't even see the bottom. I wonder how deep it is, And Bubba says, "Well, I don't know." He says, "I'll throw something down in there and we'll see how long it takes to hit the bottom." So Bubba throws a rock in there and they don't ever hear nothing, So they look around. Bubba says, "Hey, here's an old pickup truck transmission." He says, "Give me a hand and we'll throw it in. We're bound to hear that hit the bottom." So they pick it up and drag it over the hole and throw it in there. In just a few seconds, here comes a goat. Big old goat crashing through the brush, comes tearing up there, right up to the edge of the hole. Don't hesitate a bit, jumps in head first. And they're looking over the edge there, thinking about it, and they don't know what to think. This goat jumping in the hole right in behind them. And so here they look up, and here comes this farmer. And he says, "Hey," he says, "you rednecks there," he says, "have you seen my goat?" And Bubba says, "Yeah." He says, "Just a minute ago, a big old goat come running out of the bushes there and jumped right down in this hole here." The farmer says, "That's impossible." He says, "I had him chained to a pickup truck transmission." Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.